Hello and welcome once again to Info Corona, the show that separates the news from the noise as we focus on the COVID-19 pandemic. Our focus today is on a sector that employs lakhs of workers, particularly daily wage laborers, and a sector that perhaps is the key to the dreams of millions of middle-class homes. That's right, the pandemic has taken a huge toll on the real estate sector, with construction activity coming to a grinding halt. Although developers have been allowed to resume construction at a few places, the damage, it seems, has already been done. Amidst the crisis, it's the home buyers who are spending sleepless nights. Many are waiting for the possession of an under-construction house. Others are worried about their EMI payments on housing loans after facing salary and job cuts. It's our top focus today.
India's real estate sector, one of the largest employment generators in the country. Among the top contributors to the nation's economic growth. Hit hard by COVID-19 and the harshest and biggest lockdown the world has ever seen. The site visits stopped, construction was stalled, and labor either began to leave or were left out. The Indian realty sector began to realize the reality of the situation.
March is always being a very big month from sales perspective, and we see March contributes almost 12 to 15% of the sales for the entire year. And due to lockdown, that was a big washout for the real estate sector.
Project deliveries across India got indefinitely delayed. New launches put off, and in the bargain, the homeowners who had already booked were left in the lurch. The pandemic left thousands upon thousands of borrowers having to pay interest on realty loans on deferred projects.
We are not going to get the possession before 3-4 months additionally, and I have already sold out my existing house, so I am right now staying in a rental flat.
With estimated losses already at 2 lakh crore rupees, the realty sector, till that happens, hope rests on the very limited construction that has once again begun across cities.
Now, more than 40 days after grinding to a near-complete halt, real estate projects were finally allowed to restart in urban areas in Lockdown 3.0. But here's the reality. Companies are facing an acute shortage of available manpower as migrant labor would rather be in their homes than live on construction sites. Here's a report.
India's Lockdown 3.0 saw some relaxation in rules for industries, giving them a chance to reboot and start again. India's real estate sector was one of them this week. Some real estate projects near the national capital in Noida and Greater Noida resumed construction. But activities were severely limited due to a sudden drop in manpower. Reports of migrant workers leaving their work locations in urban areas to head back home amid the uncertainty of coronavirus lockdown has been a constant headline over the last 2 months.
The residential real estate sector has been affected majorly by about 3 or 4 factors. One is the unavailability of labor, secondly, unavailability of credit, thirdly, unavailability of cash flows from existing buyers, and lastly, the lack of demand.
Real estate builders now fear that the workers still remaining might decide to head back home on the special transportation offered by the government. They point out how labor shortage affects the chain of production.
लेबर को रोकना थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होगा क्योंकि लोग अपने नेटिव प्लेस में जाने में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट दे रहे हैं। तो मैं समझता हूं कि उनको जैसे कि भी सरकार ने भी ट्रांसपोर्ट फैसिलिटी दे दी है, तो आने वाले टाइम में लेबर साइड पे धीरे धीरे कम होगी और रियल एस्टेट प्रोजेक्ट को डिलीवरी में थोड़ा डिले हो सकता है।
Despite the fact that we created all the facilities like video conferencing with the families, and we have been paying them money, we have been giving them food through the mesh facilities which we have in every project, along with the medical care. But still, they want to be with their family, and as we look at it, as they go back, it may be very difficult to get them once again.
With no sale in last 2 months and minimal constructions, more than 1 lakh home buyers with a collective bank loan of rupees 50,000 crores are likely to face further delay in possession of their flats. Developers estimate that the slump in construction work will result in job loss for around 5 lakh laborers and more than 2 lakh employees directly employed in these real estate projects. Real estate associations claim this will be primarily due to loss of revenue to the tune of 5,000 crore rupees daily, adding up to a colossal loss of 2 lakh crores till early May. Now the Real Estate Forum, Naredco UP, has approached the government for a stimulus package.
जब तक कोई ऐसा पैकेज स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से नहीं मिलता है, तो तब तक इसको सरवाइव करना थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होगा, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से भी बात की है कि जो यहाँ से नोएडा या ग्रेटर नोएडा से रिलेटेड मामले जो पेंडिंग चल रहे हैं शासन में, उसका निस्तारण किया जाए। साथ साथ जो है कुछ नई ऐसी स्कीम बनाई जाए कि जिससे कि एक रियल एस्टेट को इम्प्रूवमेंट मिले। जैसे हमने सजेस्ट किया है कि कुछ स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वेवर अगर 1 साल के लिए मिलता है तो लोगों का रुझान क्रिएट होएगा, इसमें डिमांड क्रिएट होएगी। पैरेलली सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से हमने बोला है कि जो प्रोजेक्ट ऑनगोइंग है जो चल रहे हैं उनके लोन को रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग कर दिया जाए, वन टाइम रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग कर दिया जाए, क्योंकि आज सिचुएशन ये है कि पिछले 2 महीने से कोई सेल्स नहीं है, कोई कलेक्शन नहीं है और ये सेक्टर पहले से ही करीब 3 साल से जो है एकदम डेड चल रहा है। तो इस सेक्टर को रोल ओवर करने के लिए वन टाइम रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग, और दूसरा जो लोग घर खरीदना चाहते हैं आगे उनको एक कम रेट के ऊपर हाउसिंग लोन की सुविधा उपलब्ध होए। अगर 6% ये हाउसिंग लोन मिलता है तो मैं समझता हूं इससे एक बढ़ावा मिलेगा।
Real estate sector, which was already in shambles, has been badly hit by the consecutive lockdowns and reverse migration of laborers. After some relaxations, the construction work has resumed, but it is not in full swing, and the home buyers who are already suffering with delayed possessions, it seems like they will have to wait more.
Let's go straight across to Niranjan Hiranandani, founder and MD, Hiranandani Group, one of the leading real estate developers in the country. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Hiranandani. Give us a sense of how bad it is at the moment, because we thought that with lockdown 3.0 there would be an easing in restrictions on workers being allowed to work from construction sites, but it appears no major projects have taken off.
Rajdeep, you're absolutely correct. The projects haven't taken off and there are multiple problems relating to this. First of all, I think nobody expected that the migrant workers would move away so fast and quickly. I think that was a huge problem, and that is something which we really are unable to understand, why in spite of looking after them, after being able to get the people on the sites in situ to start working, still they moved away. But I think there's a huge fear in the mind of the workmen that something really bad is continuing. I think there is
it fear? Sorry to intervene, Niranjan. Is it fear, or many of these migrant laborers believe that they work in extremely inhuman, marginal conditions, that builders have built these large complexes but have never really given any social security to workers?
Rajdeep, I don't think that is the issue at this present time. I think this time the fear is more of coronavirus, right from people who live in the flats to the type of workers. And these workmen are petrified of the fact that there was no work for so many days. Now, having partially being put back to work, they're still afraid that what is going to happen, because the rumors are still that the lockdown will continue and that all the work may actually not happen. So the workers are actually petrified and want to go back home. And it's like any homing instinct of any common person. And what has happened is, once the movement has started, it has turned into a tide of people who are moving. And the more people that move, this is a tide because it's a lack of confidence of the workmen. Mm-hmm. So I think, though I can give you an example, we had 4,000 workers on our site, and we looked after them. We gave them food, took after them. 1,500 of these 4,000 have already left. We expect another 1,000 would leave, and we would be left with a smaller number. So the issue is not only of they being taken care of, but there is a lot of fear in the mind of the workmen that is there, and they are willing to walk 1,000 miles to go back to their homes, but not willing to stay in the place of their cities which are down with this coronavirus.
So what happened, Mr. Hiranandani, to existing projects? What happens to existing projects? What happens to new projects? Have new projects been kept on hold, and will existing projects now overrun and as a result cause huge cost damages to most builders and developers?
Rajdeep, you're absolutely correct. What has happened is, that the existing projects which are under construction are getting delayed, and they will be further delayed. That's another problem which we are going to face. But I'm 100% sure no new projects are going to start unless this lockdown is completely lifted, plus that we will be able to get workmen to come back. Remember, normally, Rajdeep, if you understand, normally in May, June, the workmen did go back to the farms to some extent. Now, this has just turned into a tide which has never happened before. But even otherwise, a large number of workmen who worked in the western region of India and the southern region moved to their hometown in the north to do the farming activity of sowing the seeds just before the rains did come. So this has compounded that issue. But I think it's more fear and the lack of confidence that the works would continue.
What happens though, Mr. Hiranandani, to those who put their life savings into buying a house or buying a home? If all projects are going to get delayed, what do you see happening to them? What happens to EMIs? Will EMIs get restructured? How do you see this playing out in the next 12 months?
I see we are looking at three-pronged attack to this situation. The first is that you must be aware that there was a Swami fund which was created of 25,000 crores for the purposes of projects which were already stuck. For example, the number of projects which were stuck in the Noida region, we were focusing on that in order to see that those projects and other projects in all over the country would be started. And we thought that 25,000 crores of rupees for last mile funding would be a good way to start this exercise. My gut feel now, and we haven't done any calculation, that the amount required will be beyond 1 lakh crores in order to see that the rest of the projects which are now stuck would require additional last mile funding. And we are approaching various banks and financial institutions to also participate in this funding. HDFC appears to be okay to start it, but of course they would for signals from the finance ministry because they are the ones who started the first fund. So that's the first issue. The second issue is the lack of liquidity in the environment. The banks are not lending to anybody, not real estate, not business, not SMEs, nobody. They have 7.5 lakh crores of banks aligned with the
third challenge?
Sorry? 7.5 lakh crores of rupees are lying in the Reserve Bank in reverse repo with the Reserve Bank instead of being given to the economy, to the industry, to the business. So what we are asking for is to see that some credit guarantee is given for additional funding required for real estate lending, not only to real estate, but the entire industry and the marketplace. This is our second proposition. So liquidity, number two, to see that stress fund is for the real estate portion. And the third, which we do believe, is that the overall stimulus package, which is somehow not coming out, needs to come out quickly in order to have a demand creation in the market. In ASSOCHAM, we had suggested 14 lakh crores. CII has suggested 16 lakh crores. Niti Aayog, I believe, has suggested 10 lakh crores. But the funding which has up till now come is only 70,000 crores. So I think a stimulus package is required immediately in order to do it.
Right.
So if a combination of these three things are done,
Mr. Hiranandani, I think you've set you've given us a broad framework of what you want, or what industry wants. And I appreciate your joining us and giving us that sense, because clearly you are a sector which at the moment is hurting as a result of the pandemic. Thank you very much for joining me and giving us your perspective. Now remember, with construction at a near complete halt, many home buyers, as I just mentioned to Mr. Hiranandani, are left in the lurch. India today caught up with few of such home buyers, tried to understand their troubles. Take a look.
A software engineer by profession, Jigar Patel dreamt of a 4 BHK home for his family of 6. In 2019, he booked a flat at SG Highway of Ahmedabad.
We were supposed to get the handover of the house by May end or June. But then because of this lockdown, and since there are no manpower with the constructor team, they have delayed the entire project for at least 3 to 4 months for now. And it may get further delayed because of the workforce they do not have. So practically, we are not going to get the possession before 3-4 months additionally. And I have already sold out my existing house, so I am right now staying in a rental flat. I am paying the rent of 25,000 per month, so practically if you see, I'll be additionally spending 1.5 lakh rupees from my pocket till I get the possession.
Jigar will have to bear this extra burden now, as he doesn't really have a way out of this. But he's not alone. There are thousands like Jigar across the country, struggling to repay the loans that they took to buy a house, even though that house remains a distant dream. Already, a number of cases against various builders are pending in the RERA tribunal, and the buyers are now running out of patience.
कई लोगों का नौकरी जा चुकी है, किसी की सैलरी कट रही है। हम लोग लगातार ईएमआई दे रहे हैं, आज से नहीं पिछले 10 साल से दे रहे हैं। जिन्हें घर नहीं मिल, जो घर अभी तक नहीं मिला, ऑलरेडी 7 से 8 साल डिले है बिल्डर्स, और अब उन्हें बहाना मिल गया है कि 44 दिन काम डिले था जी, तो हम आगे और भी घर नहीं देंगे।
On 27th March, the Reserve Bank of India had allowed banks and financial institutions to offer a moratorium of 3 months on payment of installments of all term loans outstanding as on March 1st. This, they said, was to help mitigate hardship faced by borrowers. But home buyers don't think it will provide them any respite.
मैं एक बिजनेसमैन हूँ, मेरी सेल्स पिछले महीनों से 0 हो गई है, जबकि खर्चे एज इट इज हैं, चाहे वो रेंट हो, सैलरी हो, बाकी सारे एक्सपेंसेस हों, उस एज इट इज हैं। उस पर से ईएमआई का बोझ और ज्यादा हो गया है। सरकार ने एक कोशिश तो की है कि ईएमआई का 3 महीने का मोरेटोरियम दिया जाए, लेकिन जब मैं उसका हिसाब किताब लगाता हूँ तो वो कुछ दुविधा की स्थिति में ला देता है। जैसे मेरा 1 करोड़ रुपए का लोन है और 83,000 रुपए की ईएमआई है, 20 साल का लोन है। अगर मैं 3 महीने का मोरेटोरियम ऑप्ट करता हूँ तो लगभग मैं 2.5 लाख रुपए का अपना लोन का अमाउंट को डिफरमेंट करता हूँ, जबकि इस डिफरमेंट की वजह से मेरी 15 ईएमआई बढ़ जाती है, यानी 20 साल में करीब 240 ईएमआई की जगह 255 ईएमआई पे करनी पड़ती है। जो मेरा लोन 20 साल में खत्म होने वाला था, वो 21 साल 3 महीने में खत्म होगा।
With the situation still unclear, the realty sector waits for some direction from the government. Until some help comes, those who have already bought a house and are waiting to get possession have little option but to brace up to face delays and losses.
The coronavirus pandemic's toll on human lives has been harsh, but it's the migrant labor that have been hit the hardest, and most of them work in the construction sector. Now, recent labor law reforms announced by a few big states like BJP-ruled Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh are setting up a debate as to how labor laws, in a way, are putting states under increasing pressure. Take a look. Uttar Pradesh firms exempted from all laws except 3 minimum wages acts, suspended laws about unionization and working conditions. They've suspended the exemption for 3 years. Madhya Pradesh too has done virtually the same. Overtime facilities as well as shifts can now extend to 12 hours. Rajasthan, which is Congress ruled, has also said that shifts can extend to 12 hours. Threshold for layoffs is being increased in all states. No more multiple returns in Maharashtra. In Gujarat, 2 shifts can extend to 12 hours, 72 hours every week. Punjab too is another state which is extending the shift to 12 hours from 8 hours, as is the state of Himachal. So virtually every state in the country now using this to increase working hours. Now all of that may well affect those working on the construction sites, because remember, they are literally in a way at the bottom of the pyramid today. They build these dream projects brick by brick, but their lives are becoming more and more difficult. And it is they who form a large number of the migrant labor who are going back on home on foot across the country. How do they survive? Here's a report from Munish Pandey, Nolan Pinto and Nagarjun, which tells you what it is like to be a construction worker in these uncertain times. Take a look.
28-year-old Santosh Shah is waiting for better days. Since the lockdown started, he had been unemployed, and then construction has been allowed again with some caveats. 50 real estate projects in Delhi NCR have resumed their work, but the pandemic has changed the way they used to work. Firstly, all workers have to be on site or adjacent to it, in camps maintained by the builders.
हमने पूरे अपने स्टाफ को, पूरे अपने लेबर को ट्रेन किया है और उनको प्रॉपर फेस मास्किंग लगाते हुए, सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करते हुए, उनको प्रॉपर सैनिटाइजेशन करते हुए हमने एक दिशा निर्देश अपने प्रोजेक्ट में अपने स्टाफ को और लेबर को दिए। पैरेलली हमने कोई भी इवेंचुअलिटी को फेस करने के लिए, कोई ऐसा प्रॉब्लम ना आ जाए, तो उसके लिए हमने एक आइसोलेशन रूम भी साइट के ऊपर तैयार किया है कि, और डॉक्टर का भी प्रेजेंस हमने उसमें रखा है कि कोई चीज अगर पकड़ में आती है तो तुरंत उसके ऊपर इमीडिएट एक्शन किया जाएगा।
The day starts at 9 a.m. at construction sites like these, where the workers have to be first screened and sanitized before they are allowed entry to their work zones. Today, Santosh is back to working on other people's dreams, as he waits for his own dream of going back home to Saharsa in Bihar materialize.
डर नहीं लगता है, लेकिन सर सतर्क रहते हैं, हाथ पैर धोते हैं और मास्क लगा रखते हैं, आदमी से दूरी बना रखते हैं 2 मीटर की, और अपना सतर्क रहते हैं, हाथ साबुन से हाथ धोते हैं, अलग रहते हैं, अलग सोते हैं, खाना पीना सब कुछ अलग अलग करते हैं।
सबसे पहले हर आदमी को मास्क लगा के घर से निकलना है, हेलमेट लगा घर से निकलना है, और हमको एक सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन रखना है, मतलब 6 फुट की दूरी को मेंटेन करके चलना होगा।
The site manager gives instructions to each worker about social distancing to implement effective production before the work resumes. There are 250 workers working at the site, and at any given time, not more than 6 workers are allowed in one floor.
This is basically a labor colony, and after coming out of this gate, every person is being thermal screened to check whether the person is having temperature or not. The second stage is when the person has to sanitize himself. There is a tank which has water and soap, and that person has to wash his hand. Now the next stage is there is a register which is being maintained by a security guard here to ensure that where the labor is basically working, so that in case of emergency the person can be contacted immediately. Now after this stage there is a sanitization of the workstation along with laborers, where every laborer who is working at this site for Supertech, they have to sanitize even the laborers.
3 hours of work later, there's a break for lunch around noon. The food is basic, a simple dal sabzi or sometimes a rice pot puri. As a condition for work to begin, the builders have had to make arrangements for their labor. Rafiq came 4 years ago to the National Capital Region to work at construction sites. He wanted to go back to Malda in West Bengal when the lockdown started, but didn't.
तो परिवार तो बोलते हैं कि घर आ जाओ किसी तरह की, तो हम लोग तो सर गाड़ी में तो कुछ खुल रहा नहीं है, तो हम लोग किसी तरह से जाएंगे गांव, तो हम लोग सोच रहे हैं कि काम धंधे इधर हुए तभी काम ही करूंगा, कैसे जाऊंगा घर, परिवार वाले तो बुलाते ही हैं हम लोग को.
The day at the construction sites comes to an end in the evening when the workers head back to their camp. At these camps, the builders have been asked to ensure adequate accommodation and facilities. By 9 p.m, all the workers have to be in their rooms and no one's allowed to roam around. Dinner is provided by their employers and they're instructed not to leave camp for anything. After almost 2 months of being unemployed, these construction workers are finally earning their wages, once again building their own castles in the air, even as they build homes for others. Bureau Report, India Today.
On the show today. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.